Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey, what's up guys? Alex Stevenson and Jake Face here. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod. Pre-release weekend. This weekend I put up a video already showing my pre-release deck. We're going to talk about that and the deck Jake built for his pre-release a little bit in a second, but let's do some quick plugs at the top. Go to SeemsGoodMagic.com, especially over the next season if you want to watch Born of the Gods videos. As soon as it's released online, I'm going to be doing some pre-release stuff online and releasing draft videos as soon as possible. So for hints on Born of the Gods and Theros drafts, just check in at SeemsGoodMagic.com. Click on draft videos and I'll have that as soon as they're up. Also at SeemsGoodMagic, follow us on Twitter, and I tweet when I put up new videos or content, write a new blog, anything like that. Check out the new video series, the SeemsGoodMagic card giveaways. So I think we're on the 5th week now, and all you have to do is like that YouTube video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then leave a comment answering the question that I ask for that video series, and you have a chance to win a free card from my personal collection. So it's been going over really well. I like a lot of the answers we've been seeing to the questions, and I enjoy reading them. So follow that series. Also, streams, I haven't done them in over a month now, so I need to get back on that train, but I just haven't been really interested since, you know, we've just been building up to Born of the Gods being released, but I am planning on streaming again once Born of the Gods hits. So that's it for plugs. Let's turn it over to Jake and have him talk about his Born of the Gods pre-release pool. Like, what color did you end up choosing, and some of the key cards I guess you had in it?
I was devoted to blue, and I had the Sphinx, obviously, was the pre-release card, and out of my seeded pack I had, is it Mind Reaver? The double blue guy? Yeah, him.
So he's 2 blue, 2/1 heroic, and when you cast something that targets him, you exile 3 cards, the top 3 cards of a target player's library.
And then he also has like an irrelevant ability and limited at least, but you can sack him to counter a spell with the same name as one of the exiled cards.
And this is reminiscent of, what's the old card's name?
Grimoire Thief is the old one, I think. Yeah. So this was whenever it became tapped, you got to exile the top 3 cards of an opponent's library face down, and then you could look at the removed card or the exiled cards. And then for blue, you flipped all those cards over and counted all spells with the same name as those cards. This one, much better, in my opinion. But Mind Reaver's cool. It would probably have been better as an inspired trigger, in my opinion. I think that was more appropriate for what this card is, you know. I also opened a Pain Seer that's the new kind of Bob, or Dark Confidant card, with inspired 2-drop, 2/2 in black, 1 in a black. Whenever Pain Seer becomes untapped, you reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand, and then you lose life equal to the that card's converted mana cost. It was really cool that I got it, but I had a lot of expensive stuff in blue, so I didn't really want to play this guy, and I knew I had plenty of blue to play. So I opted not to play him, but I did get one. I was pretty excited about it, because I think this card is awesome for an aggressive black deck, and I'm really excited to see if that can come out of this format. Especially considering that mono black and mono blue devotion are kind of the big decks for, I guess, mid-range, right? That's what they are. And then there's still a lot of blue-white control, according to the last standard that we've seen, I guess.
Maybe we should talk about your pre-release card. You mentioned it briefly. What's its name again?
Arbiter of the Ideal or something, I think.
Because if you didn't know how the pre-release worked, you pick which color you're devoted to, and you get a pre-release promo card that you are allowed to play with in your pool. Is it Arbiter of Ideals, or
I thought it was of the Ideal, or
we can just try Arbiter of. There we go.
yeah. Okay.
Arbiter of the Ideal is a whoa, that was weird. 6 mana, 4/5 Sphinx, it's flying, and then inspired. Reveal the top card of your library if it's an artifact, creature, or land card. You can put it onto the battlefield with a manifestation counter on it, and that permanent is an enchantment in addition to its other types. So I actually like this. This one is one of the better ones, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I really like this card. I think it was fun to play when I got it out. You know, even getting lands off of it is fine. Even if you draw into more land, it's fine because you just got 2 land drops in your blue deck. It's probably not a constructed player at all, but for limited it was a lot of fun. And I could see it for EDH too for Commander. I did play against somebody else who had went with blue and they had theirs out too. And I was able to tap theirs down with the Sudden Storm spell and keep it tapped down, so I was the first one to get a benefit off of mine, you know? It wasn't like an awesome play, but at least I like won the manifestation race on that one.
Yeah, I really like the idea of this card. It's very Gin of Wishes sort of flavor.
Yeah, it's really cool. It was a lot of fun to play too. Obviously attacking with it is the best way to tap it. My problem, I guess, with Inspired is that there was no way to untap. You know, you had to wait until your untap step. Everybody had like tons of ways to tap, but nobody has a way to untap anything except for, I guess, the Hyora's follower does it, but it's
Yeah, you're right.
one card in the set that does it.
And that's why it's so good with Inspired. That's a good point. Because you had that, why don't we talk about that general card real quick that you were playing? The one that untaps and gets you 2 soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember his name?
Oh. It's God-Favored General, I think.
God-Favored?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's a 2-mana 1/1 human soldier with Inspired. Pay 3 and you get 2 1/1 white soldiers. So something like this in maybe a Bant list or a Bant limited deck would be cool. Just looking for good Inspired combos with your Kyora's followers. Is that what his name is?
Yep. And like obviously there are tons of ways to tap creatures. Springleaf Drum is a really great one, and if you want to do Bant, that's a great way to just splash for the follower, or splash for the follower. You can be white green or white blue, but you know, you can do the heroic inspired, or well, either one of those colors does heroic. So yeah, you're good on heroic inspired for that. And I had some heroic guys too, and they played fairly well together. You want to be playing those enchantments that grant a tap ability, you know, so those work well with both the inspired guys and
heroic
guys.
Good
and
point,
also the Stratus Walk that gives flying and lets you draw a card, that works really well with heroic or inspired too, because that's another way for them to tap just by attacking, you know.
Yeah, and that whole cycle in Born of the Gods is intended for inspired and heroic in that way. So that's really cool that those two happen to work or find some common ground to really.
It's a nice little
overlap
intersection they had.
Yeah, and I think it's going to make for a really nice limited environment because you're going to see that whole cycle. I can't remember all their names, but there's one for each color, and they all grant a creature a tap ability. Like the green one grants the creature ability to add 1 mana of any color. And I think they're not all cantrips.
No. The black one is lose 2 life.
The white one's tap. The red one is discard and draw a card.
The white one is tap? No, the white one is gain life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the blue one was mill, and the red one is discard draw. The green one is the mana one.
Okay. I like a lot of them.
Yeah, it's a good cycle, actually, especially when they're introducing Inspired. And like we had said, it's a good intersection or a good overlap that they have, Inspired and Heroic.
And I'm hoping Inspired plays well. I guess I didn't get a real chance with my deck to play it. I guess we should say you didn't really compete necessarily in the pre-release event. You just sort of played against somebody who had like a buy round or whatever.
Well, a few. I played against the buy round like 3 times. I played against 3 people, but I was running the event, but I just opened a pack and played it too.
And that was nice. I mean,
Yeah.
to play with the people that had the buy round. It sucks that you
Yeah,
couldn't compete in the
exactly.
event, but you still got a chance to play the deck a little bit
Mhm.
and go 2-1
Yeah.
overall. Okay.
Yeah, it was cool. I had some flyers. I had a lot of good blue-white. I had 2 dissolves and the nullify, so I
Yeah.
was pretty set up to counter anything.
How good do you think Nullify is going to be in the sideboard?
I think
Or in
nullify
the,
is a really good card,
or
actually.
yeah.
Main deck.
Okay, so good enough because it stops the bestow.
Hmm.
I think the key to Nullify is it stops bestow a bestowed creature and it stops the front side of a bestow creature.
Right.
So
It always stops bestow creatures. It can stop any other auras that they might like. If they were to cast Raised by Wolves on something, that's a huge pain in the butt. You'd
yeah,
rather just not see that happen. So
a lot of auras that
yeah.
are highly playable in this entire uh, block. So yeah, this is cool, and you think perfectly main deckable because of that.
I think if you were blue-white and you were running Essence Scatter, this might even get the
So
nod over Essence Scatter,
okay,
just because maybe there's going to be some bestow creatures now that the Eidolon of the Countless Blade and stuff like that.
yeah.
There might be a deck out there that wants to play mono-white bestow or something.
So I guess any highlights of your pre-release games that you can remember?
Trying to think if I had any really sick plays.
I guess just
I did. I mean, that Portent of Betrayal will let you steal the creature and then activate the Inspired trigger. If it's an Inspired trigger.
Oh, because it'll untap
you
it.
steal it first and then you untap it.
Cool.
Yeah. So I had somebody cast a Portent of Betrayal against my Arbiter of the Ideal, and I got to dissolve it. And that was like one of the best plays I had.
Yeah, I guess that was an important one, or else he would have gotten a free dude.
Yeah, potentially, and you scry off of the Portent, so, you also get to fix your next draw. Well, no, actually, you could fix it because the Inspired ability will just go on the stack and resolve after your Portent completely resolves.
Wow.
So you would get to scry to see if you had a permanent coming up to get.
That's really cool. So maybe, I think important, the only steel creature effect in this block so far? Is there another one?
So I feel like there's like that one Zealots in Born.
Yeah, you're right. There's one in this set that has heroic.
Conscriptors. They're just conscriptors.
And he's got heroic gank a dude. So you're right, there is that. But specifically the untapping, like you said, could be really relevant with stealing in Inspired.
Yeah, if you get the right one. I mean, the Arbiter of the Ideal is probably the best, I think.
The ideal one?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah.
And then even like Pain's here, I guess, but that one's a little more dangerous because you take it for each.
Well, in Limited, who knows how big your curve goes, so.
And in Sealed especially, it's just too dramatic.
Especially in Sealed. But Arbiter is definitely the one to get with a Portent.
Okay, so any other relevant plays or cards that you really liked in your deck?
I had a couple Kraken of the Straits. I never got to play them, but I got one out once, but it was already like I was gonna kill him with it, or with both the creatures I had out. So
it's a 7-mana 6/6 Kraken creature. Creatures with power less than the number of islands you control can't block it. So
if you're mono blue and you have enough early bounce stuff to tempo them out in Limited, this could potentially be a great finisher. But I don't know. I feel like it's more of just a Timmy card.
It's kind of a cool picture. You've got the boat on the surface, and then you've got this just enormous Kraken lurking menacingly under the water. You can just see how enormous it is. I like that. That's kind of cool. You get a little picture of them.
Perspective shot.
Yeah.
I like this.
The actual picture itself is a little bit odd. The style is a little bit weird.
It's hard to exactly comprehend what's happening with it. You don't know if it's got like a carapace or what, or if it's like like shark type skin, but it's definitely gross looking and scary as hell.
But you never got to bust him out, huh?
Well, I got him out once, but like I said, it was like I was already winning that game anyway. So, but he was cool. It would have stopped any chump blockers on him.
Were you straight up just blue-white? I forget.
I was just blue-white.
Okay.
And I had
hoplites or battle-wise hoplite at all, or
I'm trying to think of how many. It was sealed, so you know you don't get like
exactly
to
what you
cherry
want?
pick exactly. I had two of the the deep water hypnotist or whatever they are. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
what they are.
So we've got this new, and I think I went up against this guy and I thought he was okay too.
Yeah.
He's a 2-mana 2/1 inspired Merfolk wizard, and when target creature in opponent control gets -3, -0. So it's
Good to be
yeah,
aggressive with, but
I agree, and it's not even like it's bad for a mid-rangey or
yeah.
later game deck either. It's just a
The
2
only
mana
problem
2/1.
is that you can't use it defensively. You know, you're not going to, and that was like my criticism of their use of inspired. They only have one way to really untap something. You know.
Yeah, the only way can be used defensively is with Kiora's follower
And you would still have to find a way to tap it. Meaning you'd have to attack into them too.
or
So
Springleaf Drum
yeah,
or something.
well,
So it
yeah,
gets too.
Springleaf Drum. I guess there's tons of ways to tap it. I shouldn't say.
It's less ways
But,
to untap
yeah.
it. So yes, you're right. This card is not designed to be used defensively.
Mm. But as an aggro card, it's definitely good. I think.
And then what's the name of the? It's like a Salt Drake for blue with Scry heroic. You had a couple of that too, right? The Harpy.
Yeah, it's Chorus of the Tides. Yeah, I had two of those.
Okay, so this is a 4-mana 3/2 flyer. It's a common with heroic. Whenever you cast a spell, it targets at Scry 1. I actually like this guy.
Yeah.
You always want a good heroic target. The fact that this has evasion makes it an excellent heroic target. But in addition, it's a 4-mana 3-power flyer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
That's
always
always a good card.
yeah, Assault Griffin
Yeah.
was highly playable in Core Set Limited.
Moon Heron from Innistrad too.
And you just want as many heroic guys as you can get.
Yeah.
If you could get a deck that was straight up an even split of heroic creatures and auras, or bestow creatures,
Yeah.
you're sitting with a pretty deck.
I feel like I really like Scry as the reward for heroic too. You know, if it's not going to be +1/+1 counters, then I guess I'd rather have it just be Scry.
Filter land can, you know, at least helping your card, you know, value.
Quality, yeah.
Card quality. Making your card quality better, I think, is valuable. All right, so you said you went 2/1. Do you remember any big threats they had to go up against, or stuff that you felt like played really well that you weren't playing?
I played against red-blue deck. I had two different red-blue decks. And the last one I played against, he had beat me. I'm trying to think of how it was. I feel like he just outvalued me. He just had better creatures than I did. You know, it's limited, so that stuff happens where you don't get the right cards, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your deck is just crap because you don't have the cards. And so that's fine, but I can't think of anything that was necessarily I misplayed or
Okay.
I could have had that game if I had only done this. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't face any gods? Do you remember any?
No, I didn't play any myself, but there were many opened, and many Xenagos opened at the pre-releases at the store.
Mine was Courser of Crufix. Everybody at my pre-release opened Courser of Crufix, myself included. But I can go through my list a little bit now too. So you ended up going 2/1, blue-white. I was green-red, more mid-rangey. Had a lot of playable rares. Is it Fury Stoke? What's the dragon's name? That's the pre-release card.
Forge Stoker or Forge something.
Forge Stoker Dragon. Okay, and that was a 6-mana 5/4 flyer. 1 in a red. Deals 1 damage to target creature, but you can only, and it can't block, but you can only activate it when he's attacking. I got a chance to use him once, and he's bonkers.
Yeah, he is really bonkers.
So I was happy. I picked red as the color I was devoted to because I knew that I wanted to be red-white, or try to be red-white, and I didn't like the white devotion card, which was a 7. It's not bad.
It's not great. It's
pricey.
a 4/6 for 7 flying, and you get an enchantment out of your graveyard when he attacks.
Yep. So I mean, he's not bad, but I think I wanted more of the dragon route.
Way better.
Yep. And then there's a lot of good red-white heroic, and Born of the Gods added a lot, and there's a bunch of stuff. So, but I happened to open a sick pool for green. I had I opened the green pre-release card, which is the
Nexian Wild's Court or Ravager.
Who's a 6-mana 6/6 tribute 6, and if they don't pay the tribute, he gets to fight another creature. So that guy was great. He was 12/12 most of the time.
Okay. I was just gonna ask that.
He was 12/12. I think only one person ever had me fight something with him. So just expect to pay 6 mana for a 12/12. And he doesn't have trample or evasion, so.
But he's like he has 12 heads then.
Yeah, I actually in one of my matches I sideboarded into Prowler's Home, and.
Nice.
That was and it panned out perfectly.
Did you work or put it on it?
Yeah, but he had already seen the Prowler's Home, so he tributed it. So
okay.
he was only getting hit for 6 instead of 12.
Good plan on his part.
Yeah. And I also had the Revered Hunter, who's or not
Reverent Hunter.
Reverent Hunter, excuse me. The 3-mana 1/1. He gets +1/+1 counters on it equal to your Devotion to Green when you play him.
It's really sweet art.
Yep, I actually I could see him not being good in some. I mean, he's at least a 3-mana 2/2 if he's just by himself. But I had 2 of those. What are the new centaurs cost?
Yeah,
the 2-mana
sword something.
I wonder if you can.
Oh,
cool!
Wow.
It's cool that it still finds it. So Swordwise Centaur is a 2-mana 3/2, which actually isn't that good. I mean, it's actually strictly worse than like Clonian Tusker.
Yeah, but it is common. It is also worse than Garrick's Companion, which I think is the comparison you made right away with it.
And we mentioned that, but it becomes readily apparent why this is so good in this format.
And why it doesn't need trample either.
Yep, and why they've sort of neutralized it a little bit by doing that. So double green 3/2. I had 2 of him, so he was just a perfect. If I ever got the turn progression of him into a.
That's a turn 3/4/4.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
very powerful. So I don't think I ever got that. I might have come close, but I don't think I ever got it. Like maybe turn 4 instead or something. I also had one of the Akroan Crusaders, which are the Theros card, one drop 1/1 with heroic. You get a 1/1 red soldier creature token.
You said you had 2 of these or 1?
One of these, and I had 2 Titan Strength, and I got one game where I did get the turn 1 Crusader, turn 2 Titan Strength, attack for 5, get my scry, play like a turn 3 creature. So that was cool. And that's the main reason you want to play a Akroan Crusader. I think some people are pretty nonplussed with this card, but whatever, it's okay. I don't think it's necessarily bad, especially if you're short on heroic creatures. I think a big heavy hitter that was under the radar for both of us during spoilers would be the Everflame Eidolon. So I finally got a chance to play this card, and it's phenomenally good. 2-mana 1/1, and then it's got Fire Breathing, or 3-mana Bestow, give Fire Breathing, and give the enchanted creature +1/+1. This might be my favorite that I played so far, Bestow creature, maybe just creature in general that I played so far from the new set, just because of the price. This works so well.
As a Bestow creature,
in
particular, I think is
absolutely
where the real value lies.
Yep, this is like going to kill 2 guys if you get to Bestow it. You get to trade with something, get another guy, presumably trade again with your Fire Breather.
Yeah.
So I think this guy's going to be a heavy hitter.
If you're really deep in red, this guy's the guy to get for sure.
I would be really happy getting multiple of him in limited, I'm pretty sure.
If you go Born of the Gods first, which that's the order, then if you pick these up, it's a really good reason to just go really red,
Yeah.
So you get to decide early, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. And he's uncommon, so if you only get 1 pack, right, you're not going to get a chance to see him too much.
No.
So get him if you can. Most of these new cheap Bestow guys we're all playing pretty well, and doubling up as doing both. Like there's that black one that's, I believe, a 2-mana 2/1, or a Bestow for 5, is it, at common?
Yeah. I think all of these Bestows are just, they're much better progression, almost.
Yep.
I don't know how to say it otherwise, but the original ones seemed so steep compared to, like, 4 was the cheapest, and at best you were getting +2/+2, or +1/+1 lifelink,
No, you're right. They got a little more liberal with the prices of the Bestow.
Yeah, which is good. I'm really glad that they're deciding to do that, yeah.
And like we said, Bestow really makes the format seem so much safer, as do the cantrip auras. So they've really gone out of their way to do everything to make
Aura's playable. Or...
Yeah, to make auras not as 2-for-1able,
Mhm.
I guess. Because, I mean, there's not
Yeah.
even, like, a lot of guys that destroy something and all auras attached to it, you know?
Yeah.
There's nothing that does that. So,
they could print that, and they probably should in Journey into Nyx.
maybe at rare, possibly at uncommon.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to... You could do it as a black and green card, I suppose.
I guess it feels better as an uncommon.
Mm-hmm. But we'll see. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. So Everflame Eidolon played well. I had more rares. I gotta think what they were. I had a foil Corsair Crucifix, so if you don't know this one, and like I said, at least like 5 or 6 people during our pre-release opened it. But it's a 3-mana 2/4 Centaur. It's a rare. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play the top card of your library if it's a land card, and then whenever a land card or a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So it's very Oracle of Moldiah-ish. I don't think I ever noticed that it's actually
like,
got a texture of...
That's the Nyx, like, night sky that you see, I suppose.
That's showing it's enchanted, sort
Yeah.
of. Okay. That's cool, though. I loved this card. It played remarkably well in Limited. I was gaining, like, I probably, many times in a game, I would gain 4 or 5 life, and just always, I felt like I was getting land every time.
If you get it off the top, you're golden.
Yeah, so this guy's phenomenal, and I think 100% without doubt he's going to see constructed play. I really would be surprised if he didn't see it somewhere, at least sideboard, because he seems like such a good aggro
He's
answer.
such an aggro killer, yeah. Like, the life gain plus the big butt.
Must be mortared. I mean, at the very least, if this guy catches on in constructed, which I suspect he will if aggro goes anywhere, Mizium Mortars is going to be a must-of, like 4 of in the main, you know?
Yeah.
You need to kill this guy if you're any sort of aggressive strategy. So yeah, very much like this guy. Think he's great. Very fun to play. That I missed that Oracle of Moldiah effect. What were some other cards I had? I also had Xenagos. Like Jake said, a bunch of them were open. I actually had I had Xenagos, not the god, the Reveler, the Planeswalker. And I think I only got him 1 game, and it was a game I lost. So I actually ended up going 3-1 for the pre-release, and I lost to Fenax in the finals, the god, who was really, really devastatingly good. 5 mana, 4/7 indestructible dude with the Devotion Clause, and he gives all your creatures tap. Target player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. So really, my opponent just managed to get the Devotion to turn him on, and then was just at that point you just lose. I mean, he just ends you so fast. It was like end of turn, milled you for a bunch, and then on his turn milled me to finish me off. So this guy has got to be a snap first pick. You know,
for sure.
You have to.
Yeah.
He's just too powerful.
He's game ender god, and so is Xenagos. I think those two are both must picks if you get them.
Yeah, and it's funny because even the worst gods, like probably the green-white one in Limited, or just in general, is probably still playable. Even the blue-white one.
The blue one's better in Limited, I would say, than it is in Constructed more often than not.
I mean, at the very least, the green-white one, if you're in green and white, I'm assuming you have a lot of creatures. You know, those are sort of creature-oriented colors, green especially. So presumably she's easier to get Devotion and turn on. And then, you know, if she's
helping... So she can actually be a creature more often than not, is what you're saying.
Yes, and at least she's deck thinning you.
Yeah.
So helping find more threats to turn her on later. So in Limited, yes, all of the gods I'm thinking are still playable. Right. Even though I think we sort of come to the conclusion that all of the Born of the Gods, or most of the Born of the gods are a little less impressive because they don't have that extra activated ability.
Yeah, exactly. It makes them a little...
less exciting.
Yeah. I think Fenax's design is really cool, where he does have an activated ability if you have the Devotion. You know? I think that idea,
one worked out.
Yeah, I really feel like that could have almost been the way they did the whole cycle, you know, is have all of the gods have an activated ability given to all creatures you control, so that they can then have an ability when they are like a creature themselves.
And that actually kind of worked out for the Theros gods, because you had Thassa, who once she became a creature made herself unblockable.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
Yeah.
You know,
And Perforos too. You can
buffed
pump
himself.
himself, and so can Nylea. So
Yep.
yeah, they did have some of that overlap there too. I guess I wish there was more of a structure.
In the Born of the Gods.
Yeah, in these gods in particular.
But Fennex just absolutely destroyed me 2 games in a row. So despite the fact that I thought my deck was great, I also was splashing Prophet of Crufix. I had a Traveler's Amulet, so if you don't remember Prophet of Crufix, so I had both the Crufix rares, but it's a 5-mana 2/3. It's a blue-green card. It's my only blue. It's the blue splash. And you get to untap all creatures and lands you control during each other plays on untap step, and you may cast creature cards as though they had flash. We had talked about how broken this card feels in Limited. I still think Fennex is a little more devastating. It trumps this, but this card is...
with Fennex would be even more broken.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That would be such a deadly combo.
Yeah.
Ugh. But, yeah, so I splashed for it, and I still felt like it was worth it. I had a Traveler's Amulet. I made it work. And I had a couple times where it's at least a big target. They need to take care of it. And I'm trying to think of, did I deal with any, like, we can talk about the removal a little bit. Do you remember, you had Excoriate, so maybe we should talk about that real quick, because we want to talk about the spot removal you're going to look for in Born of the Gods.
Excoriate is really good. A lot of people have Inspired now that Born of the Gods is there, so obviously they're going to be tapping their creatures more. There's the Harp that gives a creature tap your creature ability, and that is to be used before combat, so if your opponent has one of those, you can excoriate the creature it was attached to, presumably an inspired creature, you know, or if they attacked you with their inspired creature, you just excoriate it on your turn. But I actually feel like this card is priced correctly and is a little more valuable because of Inspired being a mechanic in this set.
Okay. That's good.
I know that like Assassinate at 4 mana doesn't seem that impressive, but Exile is also not to be overlooked at times. Being able to just get rid of a god if they've attacked you with it, you know, stuff like that is also relevant use of Excoriate. So.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can get behind that. And I mean, we should point out that there's going to be 2 Theros packs in the drafts. And how many are there going to be? What's the split going to look like in Sealed then? 2 and 4?
I think that's the way it goes in Sealed, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, you're not going to see this removal as much. Because, like, the other one that's sort of the opposite of Excoriate is Asphyxiate, which you destroy for 3 mana, destroy target untapped creature. And we talked about how we're pretty unimpressed with this card, I think was the final consensus. Because if you're already behind and they're tapping, then... And
it's more expensive than Assassinate as far as, like, its commitment to black, but... it's really funny. You get one chance to really use this card, and it's the turn after they bring out a creature, unless it's like
a Vigilance creature.
Or yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a really great kill for Vigilance, but like Wave Crasher, Triton, stuff like that. That's got a big butt that they're just gonna keep on defense anyway. You know, it does kill those creatures.
True. So it's good if it's good against defensive creatures. Which is actually good for Limited. I mean, I'll say I got hit by it with a creature that was offensive the turn I played it. So, and it's
relevant still if they have it exactly that turn that they need it against your guy that you're planning on swinging with. You know,
it just really sucks to draw it when you're behind already.
Right.
So it's not a good digging.
It is one of those that will make you like be so angry at yourself when you draw it the turn after they started attacking with their guy. You know.
Yeah.
I can just see myself top decking it and going, oh, perfect timing. It's one of my favorite things to say to cards that I draw.
So overall, my impression of it got a little bit better, because like Jake pointed out, the whole defensive creature being good against that is actually a good thing, because there are a lot of good defensive creatures, and
like think about Slime Chimera.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Nessian Asp.
Actually, that's a really great note. Yeah.
So, like, you're going to be busting some fatties from Theros with Asphyxiate. So, this card's in Limited, I think, is a little bit better than we initially gave it credit for.
And actually, especially if you're aggressive enough in Limited with it, you know, then they are already on the defensive and want to keep their guys back. So, yeah, it could be better than I think we initially thought, for sure.
Let's talk about the Red Bolt spell. It's a Bolt of...
Keranos.
Well, 3 mana sorcery. Deals 3 damage to a creature or player, scry 1. Alright, I had one in my pool, I played it. It's not bad. It's, I mean, we knew it was playable. I think we were a little bit, obviously underwhelmed because it's sorcery.
I mean, what can you say about 3 mana, 3 damage, other than you're going to play it?
I really felt like they should have made this instant, and I guess they were just really skeptical about the instant speed. Well, that doesn't even make sense,
I
because
feel like
Magma Jet,
yeah. I think that they should have done a progression, that
would have been cool.
I don't understand why they... If they were so afraid of the scry thing, then make it 4 mana. Give me the 4 mana, 3 damage that lets me scry 1, at instant speed.
Yeah, the only thing that comes to mind is maybe they just thought of some constructed viability of Magma Jet finding bolts, finding Magma Jet, sort of,
like
clean.
just end of turn, the red control deck being too
good. Maybe some sort of counter burn thing.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I guess with Dissolve, maybe, but I guess. I mean, I'm still a skeptic. But
no, me too. I just don't understand why they made this a sorcery. I mean, even that rare we talked about, the Fire Drinker Satyr, why did they not make it a 2/1?
Yeah.
Not Fire Drinker. What's his name? Fire Wake Satyr? Well, whatever.
The enchantment one. That's like... what is he?
His name is...
Something to do with fire. Apparently.
Going deep.
Satyr
Fire Dancer. Okay, so he's 2 mana 1/1. He's not that good. I really don't like what they ended up doing with this guy. You basically, it's whenever an instant or sorcery spell you control deals damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target creature that player controls. It's too narrow. I almost wish it was the other way around. When you got to deal damage to a creature, you got to deal it to a player. It would be so much more playable then.
Well, because then you have access to cards like Mugging. You can play those a little more readily and make use of them as like shock to your creature, shock to your face.
Yeah, it'd be like a stuffy doll effect on all your opponent's creatures, so maybe it'd be too good. But still, the way they got this design, I don't know, I was ultimately unhappy with it. So there were quite a few, I think, underwhelming cards. At least at times it felt like that, but after playing it, I felt like it was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I also got a Reckless Reveler, which I didn't even end up playing. Surprisingly, I played a lot of more mid-rangey threats. I felt like I had enough early. I had like 9 cards that were 3 mana or less, so a third of my deck could at least, or a fourth of my deck was stuff I could do early. So I felt like that warranted enough where I could have a lot of mid-range, big threats, and it worked well. So yeah, like I said, ended up going 3/1. It's unfortunately we can't evaluate how the draft's going to be yet based on a seal pool.
Right.
But all we can do is tell you about the cards that we played and
how they work in a limited fashion.
Yeah, and how they were for us. Didn't see much combo-ish or synergistic stuff with Inspire and Springleaf Drum. Didn't see much of that. I will say, let's talk about very quickly, because this guy I think is going to see more play than maybe we originally gave him credit for. Even though we talked about it on the podcast, what's the Black Regenerator guy?
Oh, something of Asphodel, right?
We can. Oh, is it?
No, I don't know though for sure.
That it's Asphodel? I feel like it should be if it's not. No, I guess not. All right. We'll find it real quick here. Just go to the black spells.
Or Timuret something, maybe.
Is that his name? Sorry, we don't know these names, guys. Brand new cards are always so confusing for us. All right, Servant of Timuret is the Drudge Skeleton of this set, and he's very good. So he's 3 mana, 1/3. He's got Inspired. Each opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. Or you gain life equal to life lost this way, and then you pay 3 mana and you get to regenerate him. So the reason he's good is he would take lethal damage, you regenerate him, you untap him, you punish him. So this guy works synergistically with Inspired, which makes him a very deceptively good one.
It's an awesome way to use Regenerate, in my opinion. I'm really happy that they made this card because Inspired works so well defensively with Regenerate that, I think I would have even missed it had they not made this card.
I like it. Good. I think we're just gonna skip the Star City stuff. Let's go straight to Weird Harvest for this week.
Weird Harvest.
All right, Weird Harvest this week. Well, I figured since it's pre-release for Born of the Gods, why don't we pick the Born of the Gods weird card? So the one we picked was Perplexing Chimera, and it's got the cool border because it's an enchantment creature, and sparkly on the creature itself, which is some sort of double-headed chimera creature. Maybe we should describe what exactly a chimera is. From this picture, it looks like it almost has like bird legs, or maybe it's supposed to be dragon legs.
I think they're supposed to be bird claws, like griffin claws or whatever.
And then it's got sort of a feline, lionish,
head and
or bear
body.
almost too, in some aspects.
Well, especially the back one looks especially different. You know, almost dog-like, but with those tusks or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, and I didn't even notice the soldiers in the background. Terrified of it. It's definitely a weird card, and it's 5 mana 3/3. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may exchange control of it and that spell. If you do, you may choose new targets for the spell. So, very interesting blue card. I like the idea of it, especially in Commander. As far as its constructed viability, I think it's a little bit too. I don't know.
I watched people play with it at the pre-release, and
How was it?
It's entertaining. Like, I mean, it is perplexing.
I think it's not that good,
No,
unfortunately.
It's better than Conjured Currency. I will say that because
I expected
you have to cast something to let them get the chance to give it back to you and steal your something. You know, so you can actually take stuff away from them. It also works similar to Spellskite. If they're using a removal spell against a different creature or planeswalker you control, you can give them to them and target it with that removal spell.
I think I just really wish they had made this creature flash, and then they had made it affect a spell on the stack. Just affect a spell on the stack. I think that would have been a lot cooler.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And maybe even alter the price a little bit. You know, if 5 was too little or too much, whatever.
The issue with that then is that flash enchantment, you know, it already is kind of like, you know, unless it's an aura, you don't really see a flash enchantment that often. So, to justify it being an enchantment creature,
they have that one in Theros, the +2/+2, the green one.
Yeah, but it's an aura. You know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see. The flash enchantment that's not an aura. Oh, okay.
There usually aren't flash enchantments that aren't auras.
Yeah, but there's usually not enchantment creatures in general, so the whole thing is already
But all
deep.
of these have like a static ability that you could see just on an enchantment. And, you know, even the Courser of Kruthix and the Fire Dancer.
I think ultimately, though, it just made for a really weak card.
Yeah.
I feel like this had so much potential when I first read it because I was so intrigued by it. And it's in, you know, primarily what's the most powerful color in Magic, blue. So I expected something to be a little bit more than what it actually is, which is not that good, I think.
It works similar to the way that Hesitation works or that Decree of Silence works. You know, your opponent has to play these kind of chaff spells to see if they can draw this use out of you, basically.
I think it's just because I just hate the power and toughness on it. I just hate the way that looks on this.
I think a 5/5 would have been, like, or 4/4?
You're actually doing even more than I was going to give it. I was like, I would have been fine if this was a 2/5. Why can't it be hard to kill?
I think it needs mirrored power and toughness because of the way that it looks.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, then my problem is it's too easy to kill. I was hoping for something that's
a little more substantial.
Yeah, because then this is like, oh, Lightning Strike. And if you want to steal it, then I get a 3/3 or whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. So there's like
I would have almost rather had it be like a 5/1, be easier to kill, so that they're like tempted to use their removal on it.
But then it's like pricey to eat removal. I guess the main thing is I wanted it difficult to kill, so then it's like it's actually disrupting their important spell that they want to cast. Because it's like, well, crap, I can't cast this because of gank it, and I can't kill it with my weak burn, so I'm SOL. Then it would at least be like
it should have actually
applicable.
Maybe been flavored more as like a wall of like the Nixian, or you know what I mean, like just a big perplexing wall of the Nyx. You know
instead
what I mean?
Instead
like
of Chimera,
0/8.
Instead of Chimera flavored, I would have been much better with that.
A 0/8 for 5 that was like Defender, and I can like switch control of it would be sweet.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I would have been a little happier with that.
They're Wizards. We redesigned this card.
Yeah.
Do a recall.
I mean, I can't say I hate this card because I do like the aspect of.
It's an awesome commander
the
card.
spell
It's really
swapping,
fun for that. But
just the power toughness on it bugs me, and the lack of evasion. Whatever, something about it at rare bugs me.
It's not relevant to you except as a way to switch a spell. And unfortunately for you as the blue player, giving your opponent a 3/3 is the worst thing you can do. You know.
It should have been 4 mana then.
Yeah.
It should have just been. If they wanted it 3/3 and they wanted
Giant.
this 4 mana.
2 blue, 2 colorless.
Or
I
make
think
it-
would have been fine.
Even making it uncommon, seeing this effect a lot, I don't think would be too crazy at 5 mana 3/3. You could get away with this at uncommon because you're not. You open
They
it
played
1
it-
pack and limited.
I just think they played it really safe. You know.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely didn't take over the limited game I saw it in,
But it's definitely got a bizarre picture. It's almost like the texture on that is the same as what a black enchantment
yeah.
spell. What's like an example of?
Well, Erebos is like probably the best.
Okay. So if you look at Erebus,
Oh, there's one.
or Erebus's Emissary, sort of have that like black twinkle starish look, or purple, I guess, to a certain degree too. Purple black. But I really like that border a lot.
I do too.
And it's going to be a unique border to this block. We're not going to see that anymore.
Right.
So I don't know. This card just looks very bizarre in general.
Yeah.
It's just such a strange beast. What did we end up saying it was? The teeth are almost like
They're like
walrus-like or something.
tusks, almost.
So it's got like tusks, lion head a little to a certain degree, bear mouth maybe, chicken leg.
Chicken leg.
It does. It has little
It does,
chicken
and
legs.
it's got feathers on it too, so it's totally got chicken leg. And then lion body, cat body.
Yeah. I think so. Ultimately disappointed with the design a little bit. Some aspects are very, very cool though. The creative aspect
The
of
art
it is cool.
awesome, but
I think it was one of the cases of excellent idea, only
I think
mediocre
this is probably
delivery.
Killed, I think this is killed in development, you know, and
Yeah.
not necessarily a design problem. I'm sure that they had better stats on this card when they handed it off.
That's a good point. I think the critique team came and
Yeah.
made it a little bit
Because
too.
at 5 mana, I can't see them being like, let's design this at 5 mana. I feel like 4 mana is totally justified. They printed Shapeshifter's Mirror at 4, you know.
Yeah. And since it almost feels similar to that of like a clone effect,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, right. I mean, more
Should've
often than
been
not,
4.
you want to steal a creature with it. So it's almost like a Sower of Temptation that gives them, you know, you're stealing the creature or the removal spell, I guess.
Yeah, what else? It's not like they're. I mean, it stops the planeswalkers, I
Mhm.
guess.
They're never going to cast one with it out. So.
Yeah. Doesn't even really stop the removal, right? Because
No, because you just make it target that. You switch it.
yeah,
So it's like a spell skite. That's what I was trying to say.
yeah, I see.
It can act defensively for you against removal spells.
Okay. I think that's gonna be it for this week. So I think we got release weekend next weekend. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna be doing any more real life release events.
There is a draft on Friday though, so
Okay, I
Maybe
might
we'll
do that then. That might be that seems like a good idea. So I'll do the draft. We'll have more Born of the Gods next week to report on, and I'm trying to think. Is there anything else we need to talk about? I don't think so. So next podcast we'll have more Born of the Gods stuff for you. Online, I think it's 2 more weeks we're looking at.
Yeah.
I actually don't know. They're usually only 1 week behind now, real life. So expect draft content in at least 2 weeks. They're going to do pre-release stuff, so maybe even pre-release stuff online is actually week of release real life.
I don't know if that's true. I think that they don't want to cut into any of their business either way, you know, so they probably still wait a week.
Okay, so at the very earliest, you're looking at probably 1 week before we've got, or 2 weeks before we've got pre-release online. But keep up with all the Seems Good Magic card giveaway series, and Randy's back and recording some drafts, so check out his stuff. He put up a Theros draft that's
Pretty entertaining.
Met with mixed reviews, we'll say. All right, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. We'll see you later.